Orcas Island, 90 miles north of Seattle, receives a lot of energy, and this just might be the cause of a lot of restless children living here on the island. So we got together, formed a committee, and were able to raise over $200,000 to build a world-class skateboard park because we believe that a person's basic instinct is their constant search for freedom. This is not a story about extreme skateboarding. Rather, it's a story of how a small community of less than 4,000 people got together, acquired the land, raised the money, and built a 22,000 square foot world-class skateboard park. We built the park because it's a fact that in any team sport where there's a score, half the players always lose. But in a skateboard park, everyone who rides is a winner because there is no score. This then is a story of how and why the miracle on Orcas Island happened during the summer of 2002. We live on a 61 square mile island about 90 miles north of Seattle, 9 miles south of the Canadian border. Sometimes powerful North Pacific storms roar across Puget Sound and they hit our island. This makes for very interesting sailing, if you can get aboard your boat. And occasionally we even get some snow, so that some of the locals have been known to go skiing or snowboarding on our own Mount Constitution. Since our island has 61 square miles and less than 4,000 people live here, as opposed to New York City with about 51 square miles and almost 2 million people, you can see that we live in a very special part of the world. When this park was finished, it consisted of 2 million pounds of concrete, created for the enjoyment of many generations to come. This then is a story of how a small group of people got a lot of other people to donate materials, equipment, days of hard work without pay, and people from all over America to write a lot of tax-deductible checks. An island 6-year-old kid even walked into the local bank with his piggy bank and he said, "My daddy told me that the skateboard park needs this $1.73 more than I do." Alki Lumber in West Seattle donated 40,000 feet of rebar. That's almost 8 miles. The small skateboard committee solicited grants, and we dug deep into our Rolodexes for potential donors from all over America. And once we broke ground, the rest of the money began to come in to keep the grindline construction crew busy for 4 months. Sea Island Sand and Gravel delivered the 2 million pounds of concrete 1 truckload at a time, and in the process, they donated a lot of free pump and standby time. By paying for a concrete pump, we saved the cost of 6 extra men each day pushing wheelbarrows all day at $20 an hour. So it was a trade-off in cost. But since a gunite valve had been purchased and attached to the end of the boom pump, the concrete could be poured anywhere in the 22,000 square foot park.
This is saving us probably $800 a day because the next closest pump that can do this is Woodville.
Now remember, this is a story of what goes on before skateboarders can find the freedom that they're looking for and never quite find riding on curbs, streets, and steps. Local heavy machine operators took days off from work and they moved dirt. Local residents and businesses on Orcas Island that owned heavy machinery donated its use. Bobcats, backhoes, excavators, compactors, chainsaws, and assorted other power tools. They loaned them to us at no charge for as long as we needed them. Bruce Wiscombe of Orcas Excavating did all of the major excavation at no charge. But it was the hard-working crew of the Grindline Skate Park Company who designed, formed, poured, and finished the riding surface to its perfect curves and transitions. After all, they'd been practicing this on the 22 skateboard parks that they built already before they started ours. They were helped every day by dozens of volunteers. Some of them even paid $30 for a ticket to catch a 6 a.m. ferry while giving up a day's pay on the mainland to finish concrete all day here for no pay. The pro bono supervisor, Paul Garwood, kept his eye on everybody. And I just kind of watched and shot a lot of still pictures. Island Excavation loaned us their 54-foot excavator for a couple of days that's worth $1,200 a day. The entire Grindline crew lived on site in their various trailers and tents in the parking lot and saved us thousands of dollars in room and board. Sea Island Sand and Gravel found that special gunite valve that they had hooked to the end of the boom. Here's Bob Toombs to describe how it all works.
Shotcrete, which is nomenclature for shooting concrete. So we have an air compressor of 750 CFMs at a nozzle that does the jet system that activates the concrete out of the nozzle. So it just blows it on there, and what it does is sort of semi-dries the concrete and forces a mechanical situation to let it stick to the high walls.
Paul volunteered to escort the first group of local, never-before-ridden skateboard kids around the park.
All the way around it and all the way around that perimeter is 572 feet.
572 feet is almost as long as 2 football fields. And what a difference 2 months can make. Hanging on the end of the concrete hose is Mark Hubbard, the designer and builder of the park.
This is Mike Hayward. He's out here donating his time. He's the premier cement contractor on the island. I think everybody will believe that. Yeah, and a pretty face. So, what are you doing out here, Mike?
Oh, I just doing what I can, help the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Kind
it
of
wasn't,
fun too.
Now we're going to go over and we're going to talk to Lauren Ray, who's responsible for getting us over $10,000 worth of donated concrete. If it wasn't for him and these guys, we wouldn't be doing this at all. He's gotten us an anonymous gift of $5,000.
It's being trucked by Andy Negretto of Negreto's Trucking.
And loaded.
And loaded by Andy all by himself, if you can believe that. And we also were able to get 1 free day of the pump truck from Sea Island from Rocky, which will probably be anywhere from $500 to $1,000.
Once again, remember that this is video of how you can build a park just like this one in your own town with a lot of volunteer help. Sometimes there were as many as 15 concrete finishers on the job, and seldom were more than 6 of them on the payroll. The rest were all volunteers who took days off from a paying job because they knew how good this park would be when they finished it. That's square holes for a 6-inch drain that's 14 feet underground and over 800 feet long. The trench was dug, the pipe was laid, and covered up by donated heavy equipment, including the operators, in a little less than 1 12-hour day. Without the concrete pump, the high-pressure air hose, and the gunite nozzle, it would have taken 4 extra men just to haul a concrete hose around. Even though this was Mark Hubbard's 23rd skateboard park, it was the first time anyone on his crew had ever seen this gunite valve and used it on a concrete pump. Once the concrete is sprayed on, it's still a back-breaking, time-consuming job to smooth it out. Our next-door neighbor on Orcas Island, Pam Kyle, whose son was a world-class skateboarder, was killed in France when he was hit by a drunk driver.
Scott was cremated in France.
In Marseille.
And what we're doing today is to put some of his ashes into the bowl. Spirit stays here with all of the skaters.
Once you hire your skateboard contractor, let them design and build your park. Chances are you don't understand skateboarding. So how can you design a park or tell them what will or won't work? Mark Hubbard told us that this was the first time that they were ever allowed to build a skateboard park the way their experience told them to build one. And it turned out great because we didn't interfere. As a result, we have one of the 3 best skate parks in the world. Everyone building the park donated part of themselves to the project.
We started pumping around 7. It takes me about an hour to get the truck ready before I get here. I got to water up and get it ready, get the sponges, get the slurry going. So it's an hour and a half before we get to the job that we start actual pumping on the prep. And then it's after we're done, it takes me about an hour to 2 hours to clean the machine up after we're done with the job. And it's a full day.
The park was built without 10 cents in either government money or advertising support but instead by donations from a lot of people who care about young people.
This is going to be great for the kids. I can't wait for them. This is going to be, I can't wait to use it.
And long after the concrete pump and the ready-mix trucks leave, the finishers sometimes worked until 8 or 9 at night because they knew that when they would eventually skate on its surface, they wanted it to be as smooth as the curing time of the concrete and their skill allowed.
One of the best skate parks in the world.
And that's because everyone cared. My first experience with skateboarding as an adult was about 40 years ago in 1964 in Hermosa Beach, California. That was when the local drugstore was trying to sell bun boards with metal wheels for $9.95, and no one would buy them.
It's definitely something that Orcas Island has needed for a while. Keep the kids in line. It's definitely be fun. Woo!
The coping was made in China, shipped to a swimming pool company in Southern California, and John Hemingway donated the cost of shipping it on an empty backhaul truck to the port of Seattle. Once there, John got yet another trucking company to deliver the tons of tiles to the Orcas Island Park site at no charge to us. And remember that if these tiles were laid end to end, they'd be almost twice the length of a football field. And then came the opening day for the first phase of the park, July 4th, 2002, a little over 2 months after the initial hole was dug. What you're looking at is a $200,000 work of art created by a young man named Mark Hubbard. Where is Mark? Did he go home? Hey, Monk!
Right here.
Get down there.
Come on down here. This whole thing started about 3 years ago when I read an article in the Sounder that said the drug and alcohol problem on the island was twice the state average. And I think the reason for that is that when school is let out at the end of the day, the kids didn't have anything to do. So last year, 2 years ago, we started raising money for this thing. When I say we, everybody on the island pitched in, and other people who have houses here and people in Colorado. Last year, we started interviewing people to build this park. Mark got in his car, came up, got on the ferry, came over and had a meeting and told us about the parks he had built. And I said, where do you live when you build a park? He said, in my car. When Mark said that he lived in his car when he built his parks, that was enough for me to make my own personal decision about who was going to build the park. And formed a committee. Paul and Lynn Garwood. Lynn wasn't there when we formed the committee, and she is the president of it. Very clever, because we knew we would have to have him on our side. He's the local sheriff, in case you haven't run into him. He keeps things in order around the island. Leslie Ray. And Paul Garwood was the pro bono contractor, worked hand in trouble with Mark here for the last 2 months. Poles are the first phase, and when we got that done, the money really started pouring in. Mark was able to complete the outside perimeter. The committee got together and have a present for him. It's a solid gold skateboard. Yeah! This right now is one of the top 3 skateboard parks in the world. Yeah. You don't want to say it's the best because somebody will argue with you. Anyway, we've ordered a plaque in bronze which will go in the corner of the park. And it says very simply, there's no limit to the amount of good a person can do. They don't care who gets the credit. It's got July 4th, 2002. And I think simply stated, that is what this park is all about. Is to put a hand out for the kids and the people who said it would never work. what I saw this morning with all you young kids, it's been worth it. The day after the park opened, a local building contractor, Dave Shore, at the age of 52, bought a brain bucket, elbow pads, wrist pads, knee pads, ice hockey hip pads, and a skateboard. And now he rides every morning before work. 3 months after the park was open, Johnny Mudd told me he'd already lost 30 pounds and hadn't been to the chiropractor since he took up skateboarding.
The park is made not really like a playground. It's kind of to, you know, show off your skate skills and stuff, and it's really dangerous. It's a dangerous place, you know. It's not a place for kids to just climb around and slide around, especially when there's skating going on. But there's a board factor flying off, like kids losing their boards up there and going into the bowl and that, you know. We thought about it, and the reason why we kept going with this is because we want to make the park the ultimate for skating.
8 weeks ago, we were standing about this level here on the grass, and everybody turned out, and the whole thing just happened. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. If you worked on this park, please, please, before you leave, sign our street board.
We told you at the beginning that this wouldn't be a video of extreme skateboarding action on sidewalks and streets. Instead, it's a documentary of how a small island community came together and addressed a larger problem than a few kids skating against the law. Our committee early on realized that when a young person spends many years skateboarding in places that are unfortunately against the law, we wondered how many other laws would they eventually break. Our local superintendent of schools, Barry Acker, started the whole project off when he made some of the high school property available to the park. Soon we had dozens of people donating their time, their money, and their equipment to build this park because we all knew that the 2 million pounds of concrete was for the pleasure of many generations to come. And almost every day that 2 million pounds of concrete is brought to life by the sounds of rolling skateboard wheels and the voices of the young people who are finding their own individual freedom on its sculpted surfaces. I'm Warren Miller. Our committee and I want to thank you for your time.